This is then talking about the light, the positive light of the neshama. And the Rebbe says when we meet a person, you're going to be mekar of a person. There's two ways of saying it. The one way is, as a chayin, you're such an evil person, you're a low person. The person, the Rebbe says, what will the person tell him? How about guten tag, if he'll even tell him that. And he'll just leave him. He says, have a nice day, goodbye, I don't want to hear anything anymore from you. On the other hand, when you're going to tell him, you have a nefesh Hashenis b'Yisrael, chelik elekamim al mamash. It's something that's valueless. It's something that you can't evaluate how much it's the value of a neshama is, and the potential he has and everything. This is, the Rebbe says, the way that a person, you will be successful, that the person will will start doing things, will start becoming closer and more interested in what you want to offer them.
There's a number of Yitzchak in Eretz Yisrael taking thousands and thousands of children.
And how long will they last? Okay, I don't want to discuss it here, but es ist nicht lange arichas yomim dort. A paar Tage nehmen sie auch die Yarmulkes und fertig.
What are you talking about?
I'm not Yitzchak.
All right. והנה תכלס הכוונה היא והנה תכלס.
He leaves it out. He doesn't talk about it.
By the way, there was one time I saw by Chabad Datim for one of them. A guy about Shuvah, he went also to Lubavitch. And he tried to tell him about, Mashiach in Lubavitch, and he never answered him. And one day he took the opportunity, he went to Amnon Yitzchak, and he started to tell him all the din, all the halachas. And Amnon Yitzchak, he gave him good time.
Jetzt können wir den Mashiach besehen.
Okay, Chavre, ich will jetzt nicht, das ist nicht alles ein Scheich zu dem. והנה תכלס הכוונה היא ששניהם ישחדו. The purpose is that Yitzchak, Yehudah, and Yosef both should be together. There should be the impression, the impact of learning in doing, in the deed, and the impact of the deed in the studying. That where do we find that the doing has an impact on the studying? Is understood as it is explained in the Hemshech and the sequence of a series of Maimorim Hasidic discourses from 1906, which is a series of 34 Maimorim that the Rebbe Rashab said, 50 Rebbe of Chabad, the Kasher Aleim Meteire Yedei Shamaise Bepeil. Yi Yatoli B'Limudei, that when a person learns Torah and he knows that the Maise Bepeil, that what he is going to do, depends on his limud, which means a person comes into another Tarav and asks a question. Asks a shayla. So B'meila, the Rav has to start learning and finding the clear answer. Besides, the Rav learns in order to find a psak din, so that learning is completely different than what he's just learning casually. Because when he has to issue a verdict based on his study, he really delves into it, because he has to have a clear thing. And it's not the pshat, it's not like, okay, you can just say, well, there's a controversy here and there. Like the Rebbe once said, there was a lady that came once to the Rav with chicken, and says, is this chicken kosher or not? So he said like this one says one thing, the other one says another, the Shach sagt, the Taz sagt. Sagt sie, Rebbe, ich kann es essen, ich kann es nicht essen. Can I eat it, I cannot eat it? Tell me a final word. So the same thing here also. When a person has to give out a final verdict, he can't just say, give her opinions or throw something in her face. Just say something. He has to know the inyan clear in order to be able to be successful, to be zeicha, to get the amitas halacha. And this is what the Rebbe is saying on the second page. Toli bilimudei. It depends on his studying. Hareyu ozul bottle legamri. In order to understand what does the Eibishter want here, what is the will and the verdict of the Almighty in this matter. Umekaven alamitas halacha, and then he's mekaven. He concentrates alamitas halacha to the true inyan of the halacha. Mishum sheyedei shezenegei lemaisa, because he knows that somebody is going to be acting on his word, based on his verdict. Therefore, he wants to make sure he's saying the right thing. And Allah is only like one. as the Rebbe brings in Gemara, brings a very interesting mice in Gemara Rosh Hashanah. Gemara, there was a controversy between two sages, Rabbi Gamliel, nothing. Was given a shaila b'negiyah to Yom Kippur. One argued Yom Kippur is this day, another one said no, Yom Kippur is another day.
Rabbi Meir was a Minyan.
It's Rabbi Meir,
No.
Rabbi Gamliel, mit Rabbi Shua,
Maybe.
So he said that. He says, okay. Then he admitted that the other one is right. He says that's not enough. You have to come to me in the day that you considered Yom Kippur with your money, with your package, to prove in a physical sense that it's not Yom Kippur, which means it has to come down in halacha.
Because Rabbi Gamliel was the Rosh Sanhedrin. That's why you do.
Eric ben there with the Kiddush HaChedesh, with Rabbi Gamliel.
Laila Rishus.
Oh, that thing even with the Ma'ariv, even the whole controversy. I was thinking of that. That's when they told Rabbi Yeshua, they took him out of the study hall. He was put into a ganze. And who was the Talmud that asked the question? Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, Rabbi B. He was the Talmud that asked if Ma'ariv is Rishus or not, and that got it off the ground. It's like one was excommunicated, Pashit out of the Beis Medrash. And they took in a new person, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. And it says, Eisei Hayem. The Gemara says in Brachas, Tractate of Brachas, Eisei Hayem, that day came someone who wanted to convert. He's right there. This one said, yeah, this one said, no. And then they filled up the Beis Medrash. And then they had to make a call that not everybody should come, only the ones that they're Teiche Kibare, that they're inward, and their outward is the same. Not that they're just bluffers, they're going in for one intention and out for another intention. And that was basically, they're thinking about another intention. And that's also connected with the Masechta Idiyas. Masechta Idiyas, you have Mishnayos over there, Eisei Hayem. It says that all happened on that day. Mamish, all the halachas dort, and sich getan dort, and sich gekehrt werden. But that's not only machlekes. You got machlekes about Tanur, in Masechta about Mitzia, that Tanur Achnoi, so it says that the walls of the Beis Medrash bent. And a baskel came out, so we're not listening to any echoes from above.
That's what Rabbi Meir, that's what's Rabbi Meir.
Where?
When the wall moved.
Yeah, Rabbi Meir? Okay. Hainu, so b'meila, what is it? Mishum sheyedeh shezer negiyah l'maisa, because negiyah l'maisa. So what do we see from this? That the deed has an impact on the studying. From the other angle, hatalmud peil b'maisa, that the studying pales. The studying has an impression, makes an impression on the doing. It's not sufficient that he only knows the halachas, that he knows the halachas in order to know what needs to be done and what does not need to be done, what a person should not do. It doesn't have to just know it. He has to understand it. That he grows in it, and he himself contributes to it. Because a person cannot issue a verdict lemaisa if he doesn't know the reason for that. Because if he doesn't know the reason, he might compare one halacha to another. And the reasons there might be two different reasons. There might be two different foundations. Why this reason, why this halacha is, why that halacha is. So B'meila needs to know the reason on what he bases it on. And if it applies here also, the question is also if it applies here. And this is what it says in the Rishonim. And this is Orah 18, is Tshuvas HaRosh. This is the difference between the Rosh and the Rambam. The Rambam says there is no need that a person should know the Taimei halachas. The Rosh says, yeah. The Rosh says, yeah. He says, why, yeah? He says, because you should be able to pass in the halacha. The Alter Rebbe says, a person should learn with Taimei halachas. The Rambam, because his shita is, his policy is, that you don't need to know the reason for halacha, therefore the Rambam didn't write any sources for his halachas.
Wow. He's not right. His mission Torah isn't to make you a Rav to Paskin.
Who?
The Rambam.
The Rambam just wants a person to know the idea.
Right, but he himself, he's a Paisik, he knows the Tamei Halamas. But you, as the Talmud, you don't have to know it because you're not going to Paskin.
He's the Ika. What he writes it is that he says the reason he wrote the sefer was it should be Yedias Kol HaTeira Kula.